Hi there, thanks for stopping by. So today's project is a relatively simple and basic one that most homeowners are going to face at least once or twice in the process of owning a home, and that is the replacement of a toilet tank refill valve. And that is found inside the toilet tank. Let me just show you what we've got here. So this is the valve. The basic operation is that as this float moves up, it turns off the flow of water. So right now that it is all the way up and the water is not flowing. But when you flush the toilet, and you'll see what's going on right now, when you flush the toilet, water comes in. And so I'm just going to put this here because here's what's going on. You can see the water going down right now, and you can see the water coming back up is coming out the top of that piece there and spraying all over the place. That's not supposed to happen. So we're going to replace that entire assembly, and I will demonstrate how we get that done. Again, a very straightforward process. So let's get started on that. So what are we going to need? We already know that we're going to need a new refill valve. So I bought this toilet tank repair kit. It includes pretty much everything we need from my local hardware store. And then just a couple real simple tools. We're going to need a pair of pliers, or in this case some adjustable channel locks, and a Phillips head screwdriver. We need to turn the water off down here. So we've already done that. The water's off. Take the top off. And I should say, just to make note, so the color that you see in here and the coloration on the side of the tank is from the mineralization of some of the impurities in the water. This is not sewage water. This is clean water coming, the same as the water that would come out of your tap. So I don't have a problem with sticking my hands in there or anything like that. This is not the same as water that would be in the toilet bowl. So let's empty this out as much as we can. You can see that now that the float has gone down and the water is off, nothing is coming out the top, and that's what we want. We let that empty as much as possible. You're not going to get all of it out just because of the way that it's situated, but most of it's going to come out. All right, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's still water in the bottom of this tank. It is not. It's now below the level that it drains out of. And so when we disconnect this, we pull this off, water's going to flow at the bottom. So I've got a little catch can here, a little container that I keep around for just such things, and we're going to use that to hopefully catch as much water as we can when we disconnect this. Okay, so to disconnect it, we just kind of look under here. I don't even think I need a pair of pliers for this. I can just manually unscrew this. And as I said, you'll see some water start leaking out here pretty shortly. Try to catch as much as we can of it. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, but again, this just attaches the water line to the inlet valve. There's another nut there, little plastic nut that's holding that whole piece in. So I'm going to just use these channel locks, really the only time I need to use them, to loosen that up a little bit before I can undo that by hand. You can see that's pretty simple. This whole job shouldn't take but 10 minutes, really, from start to finish. Okay, once that's out, I can come up here. I can literally just pull the whole thing out. Okay. Make sure that this catches most of that water. I'm not going to get all of it, but we're going to try to get most of it. Minimize our cleanup. It's just water. Okay. Take that out. All right, so the new piece looks remarkably similar to the piece we just took out, at least this main tube here, and again it's got a connection here for the water line coming in and a nut that goes on the bottom. And then it's got a little rubber gasket, little rubber washer gasket. We've got one in here. You just take that out. We'll go with the rest of that water. And then just put this in. Again, we want it facing this way so that our float can go this way. And then we're just gonna tighten it up, opposite of what we just did. That'll keep the water from coming out of the toilet tank. I don't know if you can see that or not. I've got that finger tight, and now I'm just going to tighten it just a little bit, maybe a quarter of a turn. I don't want to get it too tight. I don't want to crack it. And we're not torquing down some headers on a small block Chevy here, so we just need it tight enough to be watertight. And then while we're down here, we'll reconnect this. And we'll do what we can to clean up some of the water that's fallen in here. So the replacement piece that I got is a little bit different. They both work on the same principle. The old one, as you can see, this was the float. The float was integrated into the tube, and as the water filled up, it would float up to the top and then activate the switch up here, which I believe was the piece that was leaking, and that would tell the water to turn off. In this case, we've got a little bit of an arm that attaches here, and then the other side has this ball valve here, and as the water goes up, it does the same thing. So we're going to install that. So we screw this metal rod into the plastic ball valve. It's not a valve, but the plastic ball here that acts as the float. And then the other side just gets inserted in here. Screw that in. And then we tighten it down. And that's done. Okay, and the one last piece is the fill valve. One piece gets inserted into this. Okay. And the other end goes here into this. And then that goes on here like this. Now, I'm not all that comfortable with that because you can see there's a kink in it. So I'm going to shorten that up a little bit. I'm going to go get a knife and just shorten that up, and we'll take it from there. All right, so we've got the float assembled. We've cut this so that there's no longer a kink in it. This is where the fill line comes out and goes into this tube here, which fills up the tank. We've turned the water on, and so just pretend we flush the toilet. The water goes down. The bulb moves to the bottom, and you can see that it's filling nicely, not leaking out the top here. And you'll see pretty soon as the water reaches the bulb that it'll start floating and it'll raise up. What happens is it starts floating, moves up, moves up, moves up, moves up, moves up, and this valve starts closing off until it stops. That's how that works. So let's watch it happen here. You can see that the float ball is starting to float now and move this arm up, which is slowly moving this switch this way. Now, you can adjust how far it goes up by this little screw right here. If I tighten it enough, it'll stop right where it is. See that? But I want it to fill a little bit more because I want to have a little bit more water in the flush. So I'm going to loosen that up just a little bit and let it do its thing. And it looks like that's about all she wrote. Tighten it up just a little bit. Turn it off. And we will call that done. So, thanks for stopping by, folks. Another successful project.